3 mesa cabs. Why? I have gone down a rabbit hole. Supposedly there's a handful of years of Celestion Vintage 30s that is the holy grail of speaker tone that any one person can possess at one given time. I have that year. I have a 2001. I found it. Is the hype real? I've got 2 more from different years, and we're gonna try it out. But let's back up. How did we get here? I have set the mesa out here because I have somebody who is actually local, has a couple other mesa cabs from a couple different years, and we're gonna mess with them and see what's actually different to see if there's something special, as I think there is about that 2001 year.
Moved up to Rocheville like 11 months ago, so.
And what's your band's name?
Pickwick Commons. We're not known super well locally. We do better in like other markets for whatever reason, so we travel a lot. If you want to find us, my band's name is Pickwick Commons. Music's on Spotify, and if you like what you hear, just give us a follow on Instagram. That's like the most updated. Dude, we post funny stories and stuff when we're on the road. We did a show, so we have some friends in St. Louis that have 2 of these. The slants.
Yeah.
And we just took all the casters off their cabs and did full stacks just because we were like, you know, wall of sound. And so we had 2 full stacks and 2 810s. Sounded massive.
This is obscene.
They rip. They absolutely rip live. Yeah, my guitar player, he runs through one. And then we actually run a tracked guitar through the other cab.
Okay.
So we play to a track or whatever. But the only thing is just a rhythm guitar. Like, we don't have sub drops, reverse snares, and like all that. You know, there's nothing going to the house. They don't get a DI box from us. Front of house guys like, hey, mix them the exact same. And it's, you know, it's just obviously it's just a recording of him playing the rhythm parts. It's like mathy hardcore. It's like a full band, a 5-piece band playing, but there's only 4 of us on stage.
That's awesome.
Less mouths to feed on the road, less people to schedule with, one less person to get in a fight with, you know?
Exactly.
I don't know. I think these cabs should sound pretty similar to the slant. I know that, I mean, some people would probably say you can't even compare the 2, but I mean, I bet there's even differences between these 2.
Oh, I'm sure.
I bet they're not even the same year.
Speaker to speaker, it'd be interesting to see, because, I mean, if those are 2001s, that would be it. Do you have any idea what year?
Not even a first clue. We got these both used at different times from different people.
I mean, they're built like tanks. Get it, baby. 30 dB. Good, and they're all 8 ohms too.
Yeah, and the soldering on these looks perfect.
It does. This one looks good.
Keep it that way.
Alright, take 2. Here we go. 25 AR. Alright. This is amazing. Who needs a flight case? And you guys play how many dates a year?
At the time we made these, we played 130 dates in that 1 year.
And the cabs look great.
Yeah, the worst part of them's the back.
Don't waste your money on flight cases. Okay.
My guitar player will be at a venue and he will literally like get inside one of these. And so he'll like get down like this and he's smaller than me, so it just looks like the cab, and then he'll just like and start running across the room, and people are like, what the f?
Alright, so getting these cabs ready, we figured out the years on them, but this one needed some work. I had never ever seen this before. When we cracked it open to see what the serial numbers were, the speaker cables were held onto the lugs with wire ties. I had never seen that before. So we got it all buttoned back up. Everything's put back together. All the wire ties. So weird. I have no idea why somebody would take it apart and then put it back together with wire ties. That's next level. But now we can put it back together and actually play with them. So it's just a room full of Mesa cabs. Living that life. Oh, jeez. Alright. Let me show you what I'm doing. So right here, I'm recording 3 different Mesa cabs. These are from 3 different eras, 2006, 2010, and supposedly the Holy Grail 2001. I wanted to know if the hype is real. I happened to stumble upon an actual 2001 here in my hometown at a pawn shop. I bought it without playing it, just believing the hype. And it was about a steal at like $300. So After posting about that, I was approached by somebody local who has 2 more Mesa cabs from 2 different eras. They have been on the road, they have been worn in, but I want to see what the actual difference is here. Is the 2001 actually the holy grail of vintage 30s? And I'm not skimping on the testing. So let me go show you what's going on. And there it is. If you know, you know. That's an impulse. So not only am I testing all of these to see which one's the best, because frankly, they all sound really, really good. I'm a vintage 30 nut. That said, not all vintage 30s are the same. A vintage 11, a Jay-Z Mike's vintage 11, which I have come to love on guitar cabs. It's nice, it's smooth, cuts off the highs at exactly the right spot. The 57, tried and true. If you know what a guitar sounds like, you probably know what a 57 sounds like. So using a vintage 11 and a 57 were really good pairings with these. And trying out all of these vintage 30s, they're all so different. I picked the best one in each cab. I took impulses of each one and each mic, so you can make your own. Those will be available on the Patreon. Be sure to check that out if you're interested. They also will be for sale. So why am I doing this? Why even go through all this trouble to figure out the differences? Well, I have a ton of cabs. I have a ton of vintage 30s. Some of them are abrasive, and I just kind of accepted that that's what vintage 30s sound like, and I've come to realize that is not true at all. A vintage 30 can be such a smooth, 3-dimensional thing. I started with this orange cab right down here. That's what I toured with for a long time, and it is bright. Very, very bright. I have a couple other cabs with vintage 30s as well, and once I actually got this Mesa 2001, I understood the hype. Whether or not it's all it's cracked up to be, that's for you to decide, but I understood where those people were coming from. All right, so let's take a listen to these cabs in a track. This is some pop punk stuff that I did here just for fun with a couple of guys. If you're interested in hearing us finish these, please let me know, because they have sat on the back burner for almost a year at this point. We just don't have a vocalist to finish them. These tracks, I used the DI guitar tracks of that session. I ran it through a PRS Archon with a tube screamer up in front, and I ran through each of these cabs. I painstakingly level matched. I measured the best I could to get as many variables out of the way and just listen to the speaker. With all that said, here is cab 1. Here's cab 2. And here's cab 3. we go any further, comment down below what your favorite was. I certainly have a favorite. I'm probably biased, which is why I did this blind for you guys. So as a bonus here, there are impulses of each one of these cabs. I ran through an Archon. Waves has an Archon plugin, so I decided to dial in that plugin as close as I could to the head that I have. Obviously, this is a model of the PRS 50. I have the 100, so headroom is a little different, but I got it dialed pretty darn close. Using just those DI tracks with the Waves PRS Archon and the impulses that I made, here's the results. Kinda nuts. The Patreon community has already had access to these IRs for a week or two at this point. They also have a session of tracks that I dropped down so they can practice mixing if they want to. Why not? I'll go ahead and put the tracks for this one down there too. So go join the Patreon if you haven't already. There's gonna be a whole lot of tracks to play with. If you're not on the Patreon, that's totally fine. I'll post a link to purchase these when they're ready in the description below. Time for the big reveal. Cab 1, which was my second favorite out of the three, was a 2006. Cab 2 was 2010. And a reminder, these are the speaker years, okay? So that leaves me with Cab 3. My favorite of the whole bunch, which was mine. That is a slanted cab. That is a variable I just can't control with the pieces that I have available to me to test. That is the Vintage 30 from 2001. To me, it seems so 3D compared to the other ones. Cab 2 felt like it had a weird scoop somewhere in there. And these are not processed behind having Waves RX on the channel. So if you pulled this up, put RX on there, compress a few dB, you should get these same results. Granted, your playing style is somewhat similar. Cab 3, the 2001 Vintage 30s just feel so 3D to me. Being level matched with all of these things, and each one of them sounds good. I mean, I could use any one of these in a mix and make it work. The 2001s, I have to work way less. I get it. I don't know if the hype is worth everything and that you should drop everything to go and search for one of these cabs, or if you should scrounge eBay to find a 2001 Vintage 30, but for me, any amount of time saved, any amount of improvement, granular or not, is worth it. If I don't have to EQ something on the back end, or if it sounds that much better going in, that when it gets sent off to another mixer, that is worth it for me. This cab I happened to purchase for like 300 bucks. So regardless of it being a 2001, I got a steal and I'm stoked. Let me know what you guys think. I love these nerdy experiments. I love getting granular with stuff like this. And the longer I'm a guitar player, the more I realize the amp is cool, but the speaker is what really, really matters when it comes to tone. Anyway guys, if you like this style of video, hit the like button, subscribe if you like stuff like this, go check out the Patreon for tons of stuff. If you want tracks to practice mixing with, these IRs are there for free, there's drum samples, behind the scenes stuff, check it out if you are interested. I'm Resident Loser Jeremy. I'll see you in the next one.